I decided to make this video because of a video that Lana from Truth and Transparency was making regarding Kaylee Gonsalves and her work. And Lana had discovered that Kaylee's LinkedIn account had been deleted, and it's believed that the only way that that could happen is if it was somebody was able to sign into Kaylee's account themselves and do it. So for that reason, and also because of the fact that the police thought it was a targeted attack, and because of something to do with doing forensics on the phones and not being able to do them on Kaylee's, Lana thought that perhaps Kaylee's phone had been stolen. I don't know whether that's the case or not. That's not what this is about. This is about the fact that what you'll hear Lana say in a moment. Well, I feel the same in a sense, just because I I watch an interview with Christy Gonsalves saying about Kaylee going to Texas to work, and Lana says that it's for somewhere called Extreme Networks. And by the way, Kaylee has an uncle in Texas. Whether that's relevant or not, I don't know. But on her dad's side, I believe, and he's also a mechanic. I think that's the same one. I'll double check that afterwards and I'll update you if I've got that wrong. It's also something to do with cars and boats, actually. So anyway, so she's supposed to be going to Texas, this job. Apparently, according to Lana's research, it's for a company called Extreme Networks. But if you read her obituary, which would have been written by some member of her family, it's saying something completely different and something, well, you'll hear what I say anyway. But first of all, listen to what Lana says, then I'll read through the obituary for you. You can look it up yourself. However, it's one of the legacy ones.
Sus about all of this? Kaylee's work history.
So she says, what's sus about all of this is Kaylee's work history. What's suspicious about all of this is Kaylee's work history. So have a listen again.
And what's been sus about all of this? Kaylee's work history. Everything to do with Kaylee's work history, that's what's sus.
We're gonna look at Kaylee. If you haven't already looked at it, Kaylee's. Oh, it's so sad saying this, but when she's just 21 years old, but at her obituary, and the reason is because it refers. I do like reading obituaries. I find it fascinating, like hearing about people's lives, but they're also a good source of information. Okay, and this is the important part. After much convincing of her parents, Kaylee went to Lake City High School before attending the University of Idaho with Maddie. She joined the Alpha Phi sorority and was studying to become an elementary teacher. And it never mentions anything about her intending to leave or go to work or anything. I'm going to read it all because I'm not sure if that's the only point that's mentioned, and I'm just going to double check, and you can be my witness, because sometimes my ADHD gets the better of me. So, Kaylee Goncalves, 21. Kaylee Jade Goncalves was born in Concord, California on June the 8th. That's actually my dad's birthday. Oh no, sorry, my dad. I always get my brother and my dad muddled up. Oh no, sorry. It's my brother's June 7th. My dad's July the 8th. You don't need to know that. It's just ignore me. She left this earth for one final adventure on November the 13th, 2022. But it does make her a Gemini, and I myself am a Gemini, and also a middle child. Even before her birth, Kaylee was fire and life. Steve and Christy's third child, she was wild and different. She was born with black, thick curls. Yeah, I love her hair when it's dark, actually. She's beautiful blonde hair as well. But I saw these pictures and I thought it was a different person. And I was like, oh my God, wow. The cutest button nose and a perfectly round porcelain face marked with a tiny scar on her forehead that even the doctors couldn't quite explain. Much to her dismay, later in life her siblings would tease her that that's where her horns tried to grow in. I have got corners at the back of my head, and an ex-boyfriend used to say that they were filed down horns. I just seem to have a bit of an odd shaped head. I really could never shave it. That would be in many ways a disaster. Christy and Steve continued on to have two more girls, making Kaylee, as I said, the middle. But she was the middle of 5, I'm the middle of 3. Around the age of 1, Kaylee and the family moved to North Idaho, where she continued to blossom into the most beautiful, authentic, social and funny person we had all ever met. She loved Claire's and fashion and accessories. They don't work Claire's accessories. Oh my God, I can't believe that's funny. We have that over here. And doing whatever she could to get a laugh out of those around her. Kaylee went to Bora Elementary with her older brother and sister before moving on to Charter Academy for middle school, where she and Maddie Mogan found one another. After that day, we were no longer a family of 5 siblings, we were 6. After much convincing of her parents, Kaylee went to Lake City High School before attending the University of Idaho with Maddie. She joined the Alpha Phi sorority and was studying to become an elementary school teacher. So this Extreme Networks job, what's that all about? And why would she be starting a job? I'm confused about that. Throughout all of her years of education, Kaylee maintained incredible grades and made friends wherever she went. She was social, quirky, contagious, and a little bit of a goofball. Sorry, Kaylee, it's true. She loved to play pranks on her friends and family constantly. She loved adventure. She was a hard worker, always having a full-time job on top of her studies, even in high school. I'm bowled over by that. She had a full-time job as well as being, that's not possible. Maybe in the holidays, I guess. I don't mean to dispute it, but that sounds like an impossible task. Sorry, I'm being pedantic, I apologise. Kaylee loved the nicer things in life and took a lot of pride in buying those things for herself. It's interesting about did she have a Range Rover? Because That's crazy, isn't it? But I know her uncle also, he works in the car industry, mechanic or something like that. So I don't know if there's some family connection of surely, because I think they're about $25,000. So I mean, even if you would generally buy things for yourself, that's got to be like on credit or something, surely. Anyway, and there's no shame in buying things on credit. In fact, you prove your credit rating. But I just don't understand how otherwise she could have saved that amount of money. She was strong, she was fair, she was tough. She was fair. I remember during that encounter with when the police officer comes to the house, and she says that's fair. I think that's I've heard quite a few other people say that's fair. It's kind of one of those phrases. She was tough, she was dedicated, she was beautiful. She was. I think that's really sweet. She was, and she is, love. Kaylee's survived by too many loved ones, including Christy Gonsalves, her mother, Steve Gonsalves, her father, Linda Lukens, her grandmother. It's so sad, isn't it? Cheryl Gonsalves, her nana, Chris and Tammy Butts, her uncle and aunt, Olivia Stevenson, Stephen Gonsalves, Autumn Gonsalves, and Aubrey Gonsalves, her siblings, Dahlia, apologies I'm pronouncing that wrong, Fox and Phoebe. Fox, oh what a lovely name. Her nieces and nephews, Sabrina Whitcomb, Bryce Butts, her cousins. So Sabrina Whitcomb, Bryce Butts, her cousins, Jack Decor, her long-term boyfriend, and finally her fur baby Murphy, a mini golden doodle. Kaylee, long-term boyfriend, but it also says long-term boyfriend there, but he was her ex-boyfriend. Maybe they didn't want to put that, or maybe they'd rekindled. Kaylee will continue in on her next adventure with her favourite human, Robert Lukens, her papa, and Steve Gonsalves, her grandfather, and the world's greatest dog, Mojo. I did see something on her Instagram about her grandfather, actually Steve Gonsalves. I think it was about him. Or maybe it was the other. Maybe it's the other grandfather. But she did mention something about one of them, and I think there's a picture of them with a motorbike. I think it was a motorbike. Doubting myself now. She came into the world surrounded by family and love, and left the same way with her chosen sister Maddie Mogan by her side. A service for Kaylee and Maddie will be held at a later date. Excuse me. Yeah, so it does only mention it once, but it just says in terms of career, Kaylee was studying to become an elementary school teacher, which all I've heard about is that she'd left. I never heard anything about teaching. I can't remember what the course was, but it wasn't teaching, because that would have pricked my ears up. My ears would have pricked up rather, because I'm an ex-elementary school teacher, and we call it primary school teacher over here. Yeah, that was my career. So I would definitely have noticed that. Yeah, and so I'm just gonna go to what Lana was saying.
And what's been sus about all of this? Kaylee's work history. Everything to do with Kaylee's work history, that's what's sus.
So I haven't listened to the rest of that episode actually because I got a bit carried away with this, and then, as per usual, ended up down all sorts of rabbit holes. Um, so she might actually mention this obituary in her video, in which case I'm doubling up here, and I'm glad if she did because more people will then be aware of it because it is a bit. And if you look at the date of the obituary as well, see if I can. We're going to look at. Hold on. Kaylee, if you haven't already. Right, see if I can. At the end. I'm terrible at finding things. I do apologise. There we go. So this was put out on the 3rd of December. I don't know if it just shows how the narrative gets changed. Because why? I wonder when that interview was with the mom who said about her leaving her. She was leaving to go somewhere else. I'm gonna have to find out and see what the date of that was. Because you would think that it was her mum would definitely have a say in what was written here, and whoever wrote this clearly knows. Usually, everybody has a little bit of input. People, other family members will have a look at it. I don't see how they could write something inaccurate on her obituary. Like somebody's gonna pick up on it. So yeah, that's interesting anyway. And I don't know what the reason is and if the reason is even relevant, but I'm just putting out information that I found.